Greetings to all fans of good movies. In this video, I will tell you about a 1993 psychological thriller called The Good Son.
So what are you guys up to out there?
Sorry, Mom. Top secret.
Jack picks up his son from soccer practice and drives him to the hospital. The boy's mother is there, gravely ill. Mark enters her room and takes her hand. Mother is happy to see son. She tells him that she loves him and will always be by his side, no matter what. Mark promises his mother that he won't let her die.
Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
At the funeral, we learn that Jack will soon have to fly to Tokyo for work. He's torn and doesn't want to leave his son during such a difficult time. Jack's brother offers to take the boy in for a while. Since he has a large family, Mark will be surrounded by care and attention during this period. Jack agrees and decides to personally take his son there so they can spend a bit more time together. On the way, Man stops and checks in on Mark. The boy is sad, but holding up well. He refuses to accept his mother's death, firmly believing she'll return to him, even if it's in another form.
Mark, I miss her too, but she's gone.
3 days later, they arrive at a large house on the northern coast. Jack's brother greets them at the door with his young daughter. Connie grabs Mark's hand and excitedly gives him a tour. At home, Mark meets the mother of the family and his cousin, Henry.
Henry, come on down here.
Boys are around the same age, so it won't be hard for Mark to settle in. During a family dinner, the kids quickly become friends. Susan notices this and reassures Jack that everything will be fine. Later outside, Jack says goodbye to his son. He promises to return in a couple of weeks and never leave him again. They hug, and Jack drives away. The next morning, Mark notices an empty kid's room but doesn't think much of it. Susan calls him down for breakfast. She understands how hard this is for him and treats him with great care.
Hey, Mark, come on, let's go.
Boy hurries outside to meet Henry. Together, they run to a treehouse. Henry climbs up first, with Mark following close behind. Near the top, a dry branch snaps, and Mark is left hanging. He calls for cousin to help him. After some teasing, Henry finally pulls him up. Later, they visit an abandoned factory, where they have fun breaking windows. After escaping from a security guard, the boys end up at a cemetery near a well. Henry reveals a stash of cigarettes hidden there. He lights one and offers it to Mark. Standing over the hole, an overly curious cousin asks Mark about his mother's death. Henry, seemingly unbothered, asks questions that make Mark uncomfortable. He then calmly talks about his younger brother's death, who drowned in the bathtub right before his eyes.
Just shut up or I'll hit you. Try it. I'll throw you down there.
After confrontation, Henry apologizes for his words and extends a hand over the well as a gesture of reconciliation. Before falling asleep, as they lie in their beds, Henry assures Mark that tomorrow will be even more fun. The next day, cousins come to Henry's hideout, where he shows off his homemade crossbow. Today, they're going to have a shooting test. Henry chooses a cat as the target, but Mark pleads with him not to shoot it, but just to scare it away. The bolt flies above the cat and hits a tree.
What a great shot! But the sight's not right yet.
That evening, our character visits a local psychologist. Through their conversation, we learn that Boy blames himself for his mother's death. He made her a promise he couldn't keep. Later that night, Mark wakes up from a nightmare. In the hallway, he sees the silhouette of a woman. He thinks it's his mother. Mark leaves his room and follows her. The figure turns out to be Susan. Upset Boy sits on the stairs and begins to cry. Susan tries to comfort him.
It is you. I knew you'd come back.
After this incident, our character starts to believe that his mother has returned to him in the form of his aunt. This thought helps him calm down. Meanwhile, Henry silently watches the scene from above. The next day, boys test the crossbow again for accuracy. Mark suggests using a wooden sign as the target, but Henry aims at a dog running across a bridge.
Oh my God.
The expressions on their faces show how differently they feel about the incident. After a brief pause, Henry says he just wanted to scare the dog, like he did with the cat before. Boys drag dead dog to the cemetery and throw it into the well. It seems that Henry takes pleasure in the act. After this, Mark begins to distrust his cousin, but still doesn't refuse his company. This time, Henry shows off his new toy, a life-sized doll he calls Mr. Highway. In the next scene, boys carry this doll to a bridge and set it on the railing. Below, there's a busy highway. Henry gives a farewell speech and then pushes the doll off the bridge. This causes a major car accident. The little sadist can no longer hide his delight watching the chaos unfold. Boys flee the scene. Hearing police sirens, they hide in a large pipe. Mark immediately accuses Henry of committing a crime, but Henry replies that they both did it. He even asks for gratitude for such an unforgettable experience.
I feel sorry for you, Mark. Just don't know how to have fun. You're sick.
When they get home, our character wants to confess, but cousin stops him. He says it'll be easy to convince everyone of his innocence. After all, Mark's mother recently died, and under emotional stress, he could easily act irrationally. Later, Connie enters the boys' room without permission. Henry tries to punish her for it, but Mark intervenes. A fight starts. Henry threatens that he'd gladly do something bad to his sister when she's left unattended.
Boys, Henry!
We were just playing. Weren't we, Mark? Yeah.
That evening, parents go out to a restaurant, leaving the kids home alone. Connie excitedly tells Mark that they're going to play hide and seek. After these words, the sadist cuts the power in the whole house. The game has begun. Mark tries to find little girl first, worried that his deranged cousin might harm her. Arriving at the cry, Mark sees that everything is fine with the Connie. She is unharmed, but he still takes girl to her room and choosing to sleep on the floor beside her bed. Waking up in the morning, our character finds out that his cousins have already gone to the frozen lake to go skating. Without hesitation, he runs to the lake. Once on the ice, Mark slips and fails to stop his brother in time. Henry, gaining speed, pushes Connie onto thin ice, causing her to fall into the water. The little sadist pretends to help her, but is really just tormenting her. Fortunately, there are adults nearby on the lake. They manage to break the ice and pull the lifeless child out.
Susan, she's fine. She's fine. They pulled her out in time.
Connie was taken to the hospital, and she's going to be okay. Later, in private, Mark confides in his aunt that it was Henry who orchestrated everything. He deliberately pushed Connie onto the thin ice. Susan accuses her nephew of lying, convinced that her own son would never do such a thing. That evening, Henry visits his sister's hospital room. As he looks at her, he reaches for a pillow. Susan is nearby and wakes up from the noise. Sunning Boy claims he's just worried about Connie and wanted to check on her. But it's late, and he needs to head home.
Henry.
Yeah, Mom?
Never mind.
The next day, our character calls his father and tells him about the horrible things his crazy cousin has done. Jack advises him to tell his psychologist everything. After hearing what happened, he also promises to come as soon as possible. Following his father's advice, Mark goes to Dr. Davenport, but he's too late. Henry has already shared his convincing story, making it hard for anyone to believe Mark now. The following day, Susan enters Henry's hideout. There she finds a rubber duck that once belonged to her late son Richard. Soon after, Henry appears in the shed. He angrily lunges at his mother and snatches the toy from her. This reaction makes Susan realize that her son is unwell and may have been involved in his younger brother's death. Later, in a conversation with Mark, Henry admits that he plans to kill his own mother. Hearing this, our character grabs a pair of scissors and holds them to the sadist's throat. At this moment, the head of the family enters room.
What the hell do you think you were doing?
Mark, I'm sorry you don't want to be friends.
Unaware man locks Mark in the study, telling him to calm down. Meanwhile, Henry invites his mother for a walk. He leads her to a cliff and pushes her over the edge. But Susan manages to grab onto a ledge. Henry then picks up a large rock, ready to drop it on her. Just in time, Mark tackles him, causing the rock to miss. Previously, Boy had broken a window at home, climbed outside, and managed to track them down. Cousins begin to fight at the edge of the cliff. Susan struggles to climb back up and, in the final moment, grabs both boys as they dangle over the abyss. She desperately wants to save both, but they start to slip, and she's forced to make a choice. In this tense situation, Susan chooses to save Mark. We see how the wave carries away the body of her own son. Thanks to everyone who watched until the end. On this channel, you can always find retellings of good movies,